I am William Kumwembe with Business Time on Times Television, courtesy of Skyband. It is a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And in the program today, African Development Bank announces $100 million support for Malawi, Zimbabwe and Mozambique. And MCCCI rates National Development Strategy as a flop. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned if you could.
Now you can access the Daily Times, Malawi News and the Sunday Times newspapers anytime, anywhere, by the click of a mouse or a swipe on your smartphone. With eTimes, right on your mobile gadget. Flip through the pages with a swipe or a click. Navigate through all pages and see clear pictures and designs. Access a database of previous papers of the Daily Times, Malawi News and the Sunday Times. Easy. Subscribe now to eTimes. Go to www.times.mw/e-edition. Sign up and log in. Enter your password and enjoy the newspaper. It's about time.
Hello and welcome. In our first story, Malawi, Mozambique and Zimbabwe were hard hit by Cyclone Idai, which has triggered a massive disaster affecting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. The three southern African countries were hit by widespread flooding and devastation. This has seen international organizations coming forth with aid in different forms. The most recent is the African Development Bank, which on Tuesday announced to have channeled $100 million to kickstart economic recovery and rehabilitation in the three countries. We have the detail in this report.
Tropical Cyclone Idai was one of the worst tropical cyclones on record to affect Africa and the Southern Hemisphere. The long-lived storm caused catastrophic damage in Mozambique, Zimbabwe and Malawi, leaving more than 1,000 people dead and thousands more missing. Magala said they would like to rebuild and modernize the corridor to be more resilient and to energize the region's economic activities without climate pressure or any other constraints. He said Mozambique was the center of the cyclone demonstration, but Zimbabwe and Malawi are also affected, so they will mobilize more resources for the reconstruction and modernization of infrastructures in the region. Newsy described AFDB's intervention as unique and comprehensive, assuring that it would go a long way to help victims restart their lives. He welcomed AFDB's expression of leadership in helping the country get climate insurance.
The private sector has described the 5 years of implementing the National Export Strategy, which ended in 2018, as a lost decade. MCCCI Chief Executive Officer is Chancellor Kafera Panjira.
The National Export Strategy, which was developed in 2012, the final stages of development were achieved in 2012 and launched in 2013, as we all know. Was intended to achieve two major objectives. One, to reduce the deficit, which is the difference between what you export and what you import. At that time, the deficit was around 1 billion. And that was the first objective. And the second objective was to ensure that we achieve diversification of what we export. In other words, because the export basket consisted of mainly tobacco, which at that time was 52.1% of the total exports, the idea was say we shouldn't rely on tobacco too much. Because we will be subjected to volatility. And those two objectives have unfortunately not been achieved by the end of the implementation of the National Export Strategy. The strategy ran for 5 years, from 2013 to 2018, and by the end of 2018, the deficit was even a little more than what it was in 2012. And exports were much less. So in 2012, we exported about 2.47 billion, and in 2018 it was in 2012 it was 1.47 billion in terms of exports, and in 2018 it was about 1.1 somewhere there. So you can see that we exported much less than what we exported in 2012. So in terms of achieving growth in exports, we have not achieved that. And in terms of diversification, our export basket still consists mainly of tobacco. Yes, we have moved down in terms of a percentage, in terms of proportion from 52% to 47%, but you can see that that's really not a major achievement. So you may ask me why have we not been able to achieve this? One can easily say, looking at these figures, that the 5 years of implementing this strategy are basically a failed half decade. A decade is 10 years, 5 years is half a decade. So it's a failed in terms of export trade promotion. Yeah. So there have been challenges, as we know. One, I think there hasn't been enough attention paid to the ingredients that are necessary, for a country to achieve exports. Let me start with the broader environment, and these are issues that everybody knows, but I think there's no harm in stressing them. If you want to broaden the export base, to diversify, you have to make sure you are exporting also maybe high-value products, and those require electricity. As I said in my remarks, I think the electricity utility, that time we had ESCOM only, it is really not accountable to anyone. And I think, unfortunately, governance in that institution is not checked, and nobody pays attention, and I think that's a reality. Yes, we have had challenges to do with maybe droughts and stuff like that, but I think for a period of 5 years or so, one should find a solution. That's what leadership is up to. So we have suffered from one of the major factors of production that would have promoted national export strategy objectives. But the assumption within the national export strategy was that the electricity would be available. And
Secretary for Industry, Trade and Tourism, Ken Ndala, acknowledged that the strategy did not produce the desired results. He was, however, quick to point out that there had been an increase in number of products produced in the strategy's prioritized sectors.
I think I still have to say that our expectation was that we would have a lot of exports. In other ways, we would reduce the trade balance. But I think that hasn't been achieved as anticipated. And I think this is why we are being honest and say that it doesn't actually achieve the intended goals. And we just want to be as open as that, so that as we are reviewing the strategy, we have to come up with new strategy. The fact that the NES did not perform as anticipated, there could be some other, quite a number of reasons. Major reason, I think, on our part has been lack of funding of the strategy. We left it to, I think, departments to be able to provide funding on their own. And this time, we'll definitely be able to be vigilant in terms of trying to find funding for the NES. I think that will be one of the strategies. But at the same time, also, sometimes it can be sort of over-ambitious in terms of the way how we design it. And I think these are things which we should be able to look again and say what actually happened. Why didn't we actually meet the objective? So we definitely revise it according to, I think, the normal way in terms of how we are. I think the most important thing that we need to know, and again also the public should actually know, is that the Malawi Bureau of Standards right now has been upgraded. It is one of the best, I think, Bureau of Standards in the Southern Africa, which I think that actually gives us an opportunity for us also to improve our quality of products. But I think the challenge has been the producers. They have to be sensitized to say that for them to produce, for them to break, I think, in market, they definitely have to be able to produce high quality products. And they shouldn't actually bypass the Malawi Bureau of Standards. The steps that are laid out for them to produce quality products, they have to follow them. So they're expected to comply with the Malawi Bureau of Standards, which I think sometimes you find that other products are on the market. You see them, they don't have any label of Malawi Bureau of Standards. It actually shows that they didn't even pass through Malawi Bureau of Standards. And I think that's why, well, definitely, I think sometimes people are complaining. Consumers are complaining about the product. I wouldn't actually give you the actual figure, but I think what I would say is that we are still in a trade deficit. I think, as mentioned there by the chairman, the chief executive officer of Malawi Confederation of Chambers of Industry, I think he indicated close to about 1.1 billion as a trade deficit, which shows that honestly we haven't actually achieved as we intended.
Remember, this is Business Time right here on Times Television, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. courtesy of Skyband. We'll be right back.
Now you can access the Daily Times, Malawi News, and the Sunday Times newspapers anytime, anywhere, by the click of a mouse or a swipe on your smartphone. With eTimes, right on your mobile gadget. Flip through the pages with a swipe or a click. Navigate through all pages and see clear pictures and designs. Access a database of previous papers of the Daily Times, Malawi News, and the Sunday Times. Easy. Subscribe now to eTimes. Go to www.times.mw/e-edition. Sign up and log in. Enter your password and enjoy the newspaper. It's about time.
Welcome back. One of the country's construction material firms, GN Aluminium, has said Malawians could save the environment and money through the use of aluminium in construction. The company's managing director, Noah Nkulama, said unlike wood, aluminium lasts long and adds beauty to projects. He explained.
GN Aluminium basically is about, as the name itself tells, aluminium. But of course, it's not on aluminium because the company is called GN Aluminium and Engineering Limited. And so there is also an engineering element. And so GN Aluminium, of course, is a company which was established in order for us to do shop fitting. That means what we do is we do fabricate all the windows, doors, partitions for aluminium. And then the engineering section, or the engineering part of it, is where now we do building contracting, but also civil works. So that's about GN Aluminium and Engineering Limited. The company was established in August of 2017, but of course, we had started preparatory work quite a while ago. But registration was made and finalized in August of 2017. The aim, of course, is for us to ensure that we bridge the gap. So there is a gap. We noted there was a gap in the market. And the gap was that, first of all, we noted that there weren't many people of Malawian background, or indeed I can say indigenous Malawians, who were involved in providing this service. And so we said, we as local Malawians, as indigenous Malawians, we could come down to meet, to bring or to bridge the gap, to bring this service closer to indigenous Malawians. I can explain. People think about aluminium. People think that aluminium is very expensive, and of course, yeah, indeed it is quite an expensive component. But the way it was that people thought they could not afford it. And so they opted for steel maybe fabrications, windows and door frames, which of course we all see. But what we're saying is that GN is there now to come to ensure that we can bring aluminium closer to even local people. So people of Chingale can also access aluminium, which is why it does help quite a lot. Aluminium is totally different from steel. Because it lasts longer if we compare to steel, but also it is portable if we compare with the steel, when we're doing fabrications, it's not difficult to bend or indeed to shape it in the shapes that you would wish to do, and so you notice that aluminium is quite good if we talk about its uses as we compare to steel. And then the rusting element, I think maybe I talked about lasting longer because it doesn't rust.
HTD Malawi on Saturday unveiled SYM scooters on the Malawi market. HTD Malawi Managing Director Haris Sadiq said the scooters provide a modern way of traveling in the economy where traffic is building up. We have the detail in this report.
Sadiq said the scooters provide an easy way through which Malawians could easily navigate through the heavily congested roads.
One, it is the easier way to get to work. Faster and easier with the amount of traffic we have on our roads. Right? We ourselves in our institution, we realize that our staff come late to work, and most of the time they complaining about traveling in minibuses and all that. Right? And the minibuses, the state of minibuses in Malawi, you can see some of them are not in good condition. They run out of fuel on the way. They get late to work. They get stuck on the road. That the heavy traffic in peak hours. All that, we looked at all that possibility and economics in terms of they spend about at least 1,000 kwacha on transport on the minibuses. Now if they take that 1,000 kwacha a day, convert into month, it's 30,000 kwacha, 30 to 40,000 kwacha a month. Now 30 to 40,000 kwacha, they can take that 30 to 40,000 kwacha, have their own product asset in the form of scooter, which is so simple to ride and so it's small things, so it doesn't get stuck in the traffic. It can be first on the traffic lights before the other cars, because the space in between two lanes is quite a bit where scooters can be in the front, and they can get to work, drop their children to school. So it's economics, the feasibility in terms of mobility and all that. So yeah, we looked at all those points. There are a lot of other issues also. That's why we brought in a very good product. This product is very, very versatile, very rugged. You can even use it, and you can see today it's being used on the green grass, and has performed very well on the green grass. So it could perform well off the road also, the way it looks like. Malawi, we're trying to change a culture. It's not an easy task, but we need to continue by doing more presentations. We probably will held another program like this in Lilongwe and Mzuzu the next few weeks, so we can get more exposure and more understanding of the people. That's why we put the prices very low. Really, the price is very near to the cost. We just want to create a culture where people can move faster, be able to, and be independent. The other thing is to be independent, not to depend on the bus stages in the rain. You can have your own raincoat. We supply you. We will also give, when buying a motorbike, we'll supply a free raincoat which protects you completely from head to toe.
Nyasa Manufacturing Company Managing Director Conrad Bago hailed HTD for bringing the scooters onto the Malawian market.
No, I think it's fantastic. It's a change of culture. We are used to what we get in Malawi, and Malawi, we're used to the motorbikes. However, I travel quite often, even in the States. You're seeing people on scooters, you're seeing ladies on scooters, you're seeing girls on scooters. I think economically, it's probably a better option. It's cheaper to run. And like I said in my speech, we've been doing business with HTD for over 10 years now. They are the core of our distribution unit. We use their pickups, we use their motorbikes, and they have been phenomenal towards us. So I know that they normally give thought to what they put on the market. It's a tough market because you have to compete against whatever else is on the market. So a lot of it, there's a lot of cheap product around. However, I think you guys are as surprised as I am to see how these scooters have been manhandled today. And they are perfect, they're fine. So no, I'm more than impressed. I am going to start integrating them into our distribution unit, especially in towns, in cities. Harry is promising me that they've actually got it's like a box that you can put on it, so we can put our product in. I'm strongly thinking of trying to get our players these bikes. They're affordable. I think there's a way forward in Malawi. We will be the guinea pigs But I also make decisions based on what I see and on fact. And I know that if anything goes wrong, there's backup service and the team behind this product. Like I said, I know Harry for a long time. I don't think they will just put any inferior product on the market. So I am more than happy to support him because I know we'll get the support back in terms of the support service. So our distribution goes everywhere. We're definitely going to put it to task. They will be put to the test, but I'm happy to spend my money because I know it's probably wise, and it's definitely going to change the face of Blantyre, Lilongwe, and Mazuzu, especially the cities, when these scooters start hitting the road.
For Times in Blantyre, this is Tawonga Sabola.
Buying a car is often a major step in one's life, but maintaining it is not as easy. Obviously, one would have to consider wear and tear. Seeing a gap, Trevor Kandoje invested 5 million kwacha into a tire supply business, but he operated on losses for the first 4 good months. In today's Budding Entrepreneur segment, Sharon Chira talks to Trevor for an insight on what it means to persevere in growing a business.
Because with any business, you need to have sustainable demand. And what do people use every day? Cars. So you look at the car itself, you need to decide what can I supply that people use all the time. And people use tires all the time. No matter what, people are going to have to use tires on their cars. And if everything goes well, they're supposed to have good tires on their cars. So I decided to do tires because I thought it was a sustainable plan in a way that I know demand is always been. With Tire Trove, I'm trying to give the average citizen a chance to buy good tires. The thing about name brands like Dunlop and the like, the tires are very expensive, right? Very, very expensive that an average Malawian is not going to be able to afford. That's why I said, okay, what can I do? In that instance, I decided, okay, I'll have new tires and I also have second-hand tires. It's a problem when you're trying to work with firms because first of all, they want you to have, let's assume they'll say, okay, we want you guys to have 2 years experience. Fine, I can understand where they're coming from, but also, where is the chance for young entrepreneurs? Because if you want to supply to a used company, they'll say you need to have 2 years experience, you need to have this and this. Some of the things are very, they're not conducive for young entrepreneurs. So if you look at it that way, I think when you're doing pre-qualifications, they need to also have a thought for guys coming up. Because for me, for some other organizations, I'm going to have to wait till 2021 before I can even try to get into their system. I have a marketing background. So having a relationship with a customer after the sale is very important to me. What's happened is that because I give attention to detail, I need to make sure that the client, I give them advice. Now, some clients will come through, they want a different type of tire for them, they want a specific type of tire. And I'll look at the car and I'll say, you know what, for this car you need this and this, you need this and this, you need this size, you need to do this. I give them advice. So I always make sure that whenever I have a client, I see what their needs are, then I also give them advice. The advice I can give is that just start, because once you start and you show your determination, then people are going to support you. People are going to show that, okay, I think this guy's serious with this. Even with me, when I started, I think my parents were even shocked when I started. And after they realized that he's serious, and they took it on board, they even supported me, financially even, you know. But it's because I started.
Well, with that story, we've also come to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time right here on Times Television, a magazine program where we'll bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe. But always remember, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. Bye for now.
Now you can access the Daily Times, Malawi News, and the Sunday Times newspapers anytime, anywhere, by the click of a mouse or a swipe on your smartphone. with eTimes right on your mobile gadget. Flip through the pages with a swipe or a click. Navigate through all pages and see clear pictures and designs. Access a database of previous papers of the Daily Times, Malawi News, and the Sunday Times. Easy. Subscribe now to eTimes. Go to www.times.mw/e-edition. Sign up and log in. Enter your password and enjoy the newspaper.